People don't abandon their dreams because they're scared of failure. They abandon them because they're terrified of not knowing who they are for a while. And we're addicted to having some sort of certainty in identity. So let me ask you this. The void asks you to sit without labels. Are you willing to be in the void of no labels, without applause, without answers, and really loving yourself through that time? Because most people would rather be unhappy and certain than quiet and becoming. Hello there, loves. Welcome to another episode of The Brave Table. I'm your host, Dr. Neeta, and this is your destination, your oasis to be all things just a little bit more brave in your actions, in your relationships, and in your life. And today, I have a question for you. Who are you becoming in 2026? This is a question I ask every year. And perhaps maybe some of you may have a word, some of you might have a phrase, some of you might have an intention. And I feel like for me, this year is relentless. That is the intention that I'm going into. It is horse energy 2026. We've shed new skin. And it was the year of the snake in 2025, year of the horse in 2026. And my question is, who are you becoming in 2026? And I want to talk about 5 pivotal shifts that you need to manifest your dream life, and it can start today. Now, this isn't a New Year's episode. This is your identity reckoning. And 2026, well, I love a good vision board. I've done vision boards as well. We did that over the holidays. But 2026 doesn't really respond to vision boards. I really want you to embody what you are stepping into. It responds to embodiment. And when I look back at these episodes that actually cracked something open in 2025 that many of you loved, I'm bringing it back again today. We are going to dive in because there was so much shared and we had some really heavy hitters. These were the ones that didn't just inspire, but they repatterned identity. 5 very specific traits that helps keep you showing up when you don't want to, showing up when it's hard, showing up when it's tough, showing up when you are reinventing yourself and you are so afraid of what that other side looks like that it actually holds you back. These aren't motivational, they're revolutionary. So today I'm weaving together the top 5 reinvention episodes of 2025 on the Brave Table with the exact character traits that you definitely need in order to run into 2026. And the question I'm leaving you with here is, who do you need to become before that life arrives? And it starts today and it starts now. Now, shift number 1, stop waiting for permission. This identity self trait is self-authorization. And the episode that did this was episode 361 with Nabila Ismail. She was traveling the world solo up to now, I think it's 85 countries, and choosing herself without waiting. Not only did she have the very, very first famous or infamous Desi Love Island, because she's a South Asian creator, and she is a pharmacist turned global travel queen who now does these travel trips for women all over the world, women and men. She didn't wait for the relationship. She didn't wait for the money to feel safe. She didn't wait for approval from culture, family, or fear. She moved first and she actually let her identity catch up. What this episode builds on is radical self-trust, nervous system tolerance for uncertainty, the ability to move without consensus. And her reinvention lesson is your dream life doesn't need more planning. It needs someone inside of you willing to say, I choose me, even if no one claps yet. 2026 belongs to people who authorize themselves. Have a listen to one of the most viral conversations that we had in a long time.
Each trip, I unpack something new, or I unlearn something that I should have unlearned a while ago. I love that it gives me time and it blocks out the noise from what other people will say, what parents have to say, what your friends, or any judgment. It truly gives you space to figure it out on your own, and nobody knows who you are, and you can truly just show up as whatever version you want. But it's taught me a lot about confidence, decision making. Like you're at the end of the day, it's just you. Like when you're out there solo, nobody else is making those decisions. So you really learn to trust your instincts. I think that's been the biggest blessing.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing. For someone who's just kind of starting out, maybe they're navigating professional school, dental school, medical school, pharmacy school, engineering school, perhaps maybe a younger version of yourself.
Mhm.
What advice would you give to that person?
I feel like I would say don't take things too seriously. I was so serious. Like when I was so young, I could not see the future and I thought it was so black and white and I didn't leave room for the gray area. Like I did not, obviously, I didn't think I would end up here,
Mm-hmm.
but I took life so seriously that I feel like I missed out on seeing what was in front of me because I was always looking for what was ahead. But when I was looking ahead, it didn't look this good. And I would just really enjoy that chapter because it will end. And at some point, I sometimes miss pharmacy school. That's when I traveled the most because I didn't have to work. So I think just really enjoy the chapter you're in. It might suck, but there's also so much beauty in it.
Okay, moving on to shift number 2. This is huge because many of you are reinventing your relationships. Many of you are wanting love. Many of you are wanting desire in your life without apology. Now, this identity trait, oof, what makes you come alive? What is that erotic aliveness for you? Maybe it's in relationship. Maybe it's just finding that within yourself. Maybe you're someone who carries so much. You carry the household, you carry your team members, you carry your kids, you carry your husband, you carry everyone. Who is carrying you? What or who makes you come alive? And maybe that maybe is just finding it in yourself. Episode 368, The Truth About Age Gap Love, Divorce, and Reinvention with the one and only Dubai Housewives, Caroline Stanbury. Now, she was incredible because she not only made a bold decision as a mother of 3 to leave her 17-year-old marriage, and then she met Real Madrid, amazing star football soccer player, Sergio, who is 20 years younger than her, fell madly in love. She didn't have to explain her love. She didn't dilute it to be palatable. She didn't contort herself to fit an age, image, or expectation box. She was unapologetic in her desire. And it is so beautiful what she shares about love and what she shares about the haters, as well as how it was a really tough decision to share this with her children, her teenage children, and what she says to you in the process.
When I first started dating Sergio, everyone thought I was in the middle of a midlife crisis. I'd been married 18 years, I've got 3 children, and I was 43 and he was 24. So when you put it like that, it's really crazy too.
It's 24.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
He was 24. But I mean, to be honest, he started at 31. And then he got younger and younger and younger. So he lied all the way through. And Sergio is really good at hiding it because he has a beard. And it's not till he shaves that you really see. I was like, oh my God, Benjamin Button, I'm going to jail. But, you know, look, it's not for everyone. I wouldn't say, you know, it isn't always easy, you know, but we've been through a lot. But we are super connected. And I would say we're more in love today than we were when we met. And we are 7 years on. Our children are, well, my children, but he considers them his too, are very blended, very happy with him. The boys have a great time. My daughter's university anyway. And, you know, I just learned to cut out the noise and just trust my own instincts. And I think that's what a lot of people today forget to do. I think we're so surrounded by people that tell us, and, you know, which is funny because I went to boarding school. So my whole life I've been told what to do. So I actually think I've just, for once, just decided, you know, fuck it. I don't know if I can swear on this.
Yes.
You know, I'll do what I want and make myself happy. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I can marry a man that's my age and it doesn't work too. There's no guarantees with anyone. So why should I listen to what everyone else says?
Yeah.
The world is a tough enough place anyway to find someone you connect with.
And, well, you bring up such a good point because when we are finding love again, and Brave Table Fam, we talk about this a lot as we brave relationships. What do you think some women miss the mark on as they are kind of navigating through divorce and finding themselves again and even finding it in their hearts to date again?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of women either get stuck in the past, in their old life, or what they've lost, and they focus a lot on what they've lost. It wasn't their choice. And I understand that sometimes you can be blindsided, you're not ready. You know, I spent most of my young adult life with my ex-husband. I was with him for 18 years. You know, it's a huge decision, but it was my decision. It was our decision, right? It was something I thought about. Most people don't get out of bed and go, today's the day I'm getting divorced. You know, most people have thought about it for a while, women-wise. And men don't really leave. You know, they like to try and keep their family together. I just would say to women, instead of focusing on what's been, focus on your future. Only look forward. Otherwise, you'll always be wondering. And that's a terrible place to live.
Now, I love this episode so much because she is so bold in her pursuit. And this episode builds on desire, clarity without justification, detachment from societal timelines. This is a huge one. Because if you are desiring to feel more alive in yourself, to find love again, to go after the things that make you come alive, you have to have that embodied confidence, not performative confidence. That's a completely different thing. And so many of us have been told, we grew up with performative confidence. We do something and it makes us look good because we are going to get some certain attachment or desire at the end of it. Now, your reinvention lesson here is if your future self feels flat, muted, or reasonable, you're not manifesting, you're negotiating. And when you are manifesting the life that you love, it has to come from a place of not just gratitude, not just bliss, but also a place of abundance, also a place of desire. What is it that you actually want? What is it that actually elicits that feeling inside of you, that desire, that aliveness? 2026 requires women who let aliveness lead, period. Moving on to shift number 3, becoming unapologetic with your voice and visibility. Not caring what anybody else thinks, not caring what the world thinks of you. Your identity trait here to shift is your truth-telling power. This is huge. We all have it. We sometimes dim our own light. We sometimes dim our own light to fit in a certain box, to belong, to get a certain approval. Now, that is not you this year. Oh no, because my guest on episode 385, What Miss America Never Told You, Colorism, Courage, and Finding Love with Neeta Bhushan. Neeta Bhushan is not only a social advocate, she has been seen everywhere. She actually was the first brown woman to win Miss America during 9/11. Neeta was told she was a terrorist. There were news headlines of her everywhere that when a brown woman won, that she was getting tons of backlash. She actually changed the way billion-dollar industries think. She spoke loudly. She refused erasure. She stopped asking to be included, and it became impossible for her to ignore. She went after some of the biggest companies like Fair and Lovely, which if you are a brownie, you know that maybe your parents or your grandparents told you to wear that to get fairer skin when you were younger. And she was such a big advocate for that they actually changed the labeling on those products. And those products are marketed to billions and billions and billions of women, especially in the brown girl diaspora, especially in the Indian diaspora. And she was able to do that. Not only that, she actually was really a true testament to helping us all believe that love is really blind. And let's share a little bit of her clip here.
I was called a terrorist. I was called Miss 7/11.
Oh, wow.
9/11 was 2 days ago or 3 days ago. I won on September 15th.
Wow.
And, we just crowned a terrorist as Miss America. And this was when Twitter was in its peak heyday.
Oh, wow.
And so that, sadly, I was prepared for that. I was totally ready to handle that conversation. What I didn't see coming, and I did, and I addressed that. And I was glad to continue to be able to at least continue to break those stereotypes and have the conversation. But I think what I was not ready for was the colorism conversation.
Okay.
And, the night I win, it's 3 a.m. before I even get to bed. I have to be on Good Morning America at 5 a.m. And I open my Twitter feed that morning and I see this conversation of like, is Miss America too dark to be Miss India?
Ooh.
And I just remember thinking, really? Like that's
That's the
what
headline.
this is?
Yeah.
You know, like I'm still not enough, or what is, and it's also kind of like, what is considered beautiful? Like, what are we celebrating? Is it the fact that I fit into this Western beauty standard that's still not our beauty standard at home or in other countries around the world even? And so it just kind of, it made me pause. It made me pause, and you don't have time to think in those moments because you're just like going on to the next thing.
Yeah.
But as I continued that year, it turned into a bigger and bigger conversation. Everywhere I went, every university, every college, every appearance, 90% of the time, it was always a question. How did you feel when you saw this, the conversation around colorism and your skin tone? So I knew there was always something there that I wanted to unpack, and I'd grown up with it too. But that really set off the whole journey to where I am now, frankly.
Now what this episode actually builds is identity-rooted confidence, comfort being misunderstood, power in naming truth without softening it. Now, your reinvention lesson here is your next chapter will require a voice that actually risks being inconvenient. 2026 doesn't reward silence disguised as humility. No. This is for you to take up the space. This is for you to finally be seen and take up all that it takes in order to be seen. Shift number 4, releasing your old self with precision. The identity trait here that I want you to take note of is emotional sovereignty. And I cannot share this episode enough. This is one of my favorites in 2025 with my dear friend, Christine Hassler. She has been one of the OG coaches, life coaches, women's coaches in the game, 20 plus years. And her episode, Letting Go of the Identity That Once Kept You Safe, is not only one for the mamas, it's one for the goal-getting queens. It's one for the ones who've been chasing love in many, many ways. And she says you have to let go of the identity that once kept you safe, which will require you to be in discomfort, which will require you to ask certain questions, different questions, which will require you to up-level yourself in different ways. This is episode 296, Healing, Reinvention, and Finding Love with Christine Hassler. And this aired last year. And this is one of the game changers because she talks about her big reinvention story and the uncertainty that she faced, that she was a Hollywood agent. She was in her 20s and she went through quite a few different failed relationships as well as failed engagements. And she had limiting beliefs, not only around love, but also the masculine and the feminine, and how now in her beautiful marriage and her beautiful walk with motherhood, the life transitions and personal transformations that have come as a result. Have a listen.
I recognize that life is so much more enjoyable when you stop caring so much what other people think.
Ooh.
It is just
Amen.
so much more relaxing. It's so much more fun. It's so much less stressful. And I'm not saying I'm 100% at this, but I've come a long way. It's also not so like not working towards some kind of goal all the time is such a relief. And I don't think you realize until you're off that treadmill. Like if you're a high achieving person, you've always got a goal. There's something you're always working toward. And I know most of the people listening, they've set their New Year's intentions. They have their plan, right?
Got the plan.
They got the plan or the goals or the intention. And it's like you're always working towards something. And I can appreciate that because I understand that so many of us want to live our fullest and best life. But the huge misunderstanding in that is that we have to do something in order to live our fullest and best life. And I think so many women have disconnected from the superpower of the feminine of receiving and surrendering. I mean, superpower of the feminine, receiving, basic anatomy, everybody. It's like so obvious. It's how we're built, but it's not how we operate most of the time. And so I just challenge anybody listening, like if you think letting go of so many goals and doing means that things in your life won't happen, I just challenge that. Challenge your thinking that, I need to do in order to live this life. Now, I'm not saying we can just sit on our couch and wait for Amazon to deliver our dreams. But I feel so much the inner work and taking inspired action. That's what leads us towards what we truly are in most alignment with. And I have seen in 20 years of coaching people, and I coach all people, mostly women, and I've coached many women of this avatar we're talking, you and I.
Yes, yes, exactly.
And what I see time and time again is what they think they want is actually not in alignment with who they are.
Now, the thing I love about this episode so much is Christine names something most people avoid. And it's sometimes the version of you that actually worked because it was easy, because it was convenient, because it was performative. This is the exact one blocking you from your next evolution, because what worked then is not going to work now that you're manifesting this new identity of yours in 2026, the chapter of life that you're walking into, that you're stepping into, that you're running into. Now, this episode wasn't about fixing yourself. It's about unhooking from outdated survival identities, the things that made you in survival mode, the things that kept you going because you had a trauma response so big that you had to keep going. You had to survive through it. What this episode builds is your identity grief tolerance. Not only that, clarity around who you no longer are and what you're willing to let go. What are the things that you're willing to let go of in 2026? And your emotional maturity during transitions. Are you one to shut down, or are you one to expand your edges and lean into the discomfort, lean into those difficult conversations, lean into really asking you, how am I contributing to this? How am I actually playing a role in this? And what do I need to really learn about myself? Your reinvention lesson here is you cannot become who you're meant to be while romanticizing who you used to be. You cannot become who you're meant to be while romanticizing who you used to be. 2026 requires clean emotional exits. All right, Elle, we are bringing this back home with shift number 5, living from alignment, not achievement. The identity trait here is inner congruence. And this was with myself, episode 326, why you feel stuck and what to do when you're in the void. Here's the thing. Sometimes the old you doesn't fit anymore. So the things that perhaps maybe at one point really lit you up, maybe these are the things that you are willing to let go of, or you are willing to delegate if this is in your business, or you're willing to shut down. And perhaps maybe there can be an anxiety of reinvention. Why? Because it's scary. The unknown is scary. Who you're becoming is scary. And I can share this personal anecdote. I was terrified to walk into this new era of me as a actual consumer product good CPG founder, a wellness founder, a startup founder. I mean, even saying that right now, I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, I am. I am that in building Chitonics. And I think we are trained that we always have to know exactly that path. And we have to know everything that has to be figured out. But when you're starting something new for the first time or the 10th time, you're not going to have things figured out. And it's not going to go as planned. There are going to be lots of hurdles. There are going to be a lot of bumps in the road. And perhaps the anxiety of reinvention is anxious because, well, you've never done it before, or you haven't done it in that way before, or, well, the other path was so familiar, it was so known that this new path is going to require you to up-level in different ways. And the question that I want to ask you is, what are you no longer available for as you are stepping into your next era? Have a listen. As I've reinvented myself so many times, I think that a lot of us, we go through these phases of, reinvention where there's so much uncertainty, where you don't know where it's going and you don't know if the thing you're going to do, is it going to work out? Is it going to fail? Is it going to? And is it? And there's a lot of anxiety. And maybe you're in that spaciousness of like, I don't know what I want to do next, or I know I'm not really liking what I'm doing, or I know that I'm meant for more. And, I shared this quite a few times, but I want to bring this up because it's so relevant of how oftentimes we literally forget that when we are starting new projects, we think that it's got to be, we've got to have it all figured out. And the truth is you don't have to have it all figured out. The truth is, it's in the messiness that we then kind of come back to ourselves with guidance, for sure. And when I was in the middle of, selling my practice, and when I was in the middle of stepping down from one of the companies I used to lead and became more of an investor, and when I was in the middle also of, becoming an author for the fourth time and really shifting. There's been many seasons of, starting this podcast, kind of not knowing where it was going to go, but really following the curiosity. I think that has really led to more consistency, and also being able to embrace, whatever the failures have been, being able to embrace, the roadblocks, the obstacles, the things that perhaps aren't really in our control. And maybe you've outgrown your current life, even if it looks successful, because oftentimes we might have alignment or success fatigue when you're like, I really want to go inward, and you really want to expand your inner knowing. And maybe, you say to yourself, okay, it's all good, but I'm not actually fulfilled. Like, I've been doing this thing for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. It's getting mundane. Perhaps you're the high achiever who's checked all of the boxes, but maybe you're feeling stuck. Maybe there are places in your life where there is misalignment. And sometimes we tend to ignore the soul's quiet nudge for more. And, why good enough sometimes isn't the question we should be asking. Maybe it's the fact that you're not actually fulfilled. So this wasn't about hustle. It was about alignment math. And what this episode builds on is trust in your intuitive timing, nervous system-led decision-making, and alignment over external validation. Who cares? You don't need that external validation. You can give that to yourself. And the reinvention lesson here is, if you keep manifesting burnout instead of bliss, you literally are chasing outcomes, not congruence. And I want to say that again. If you keep manifesting burnout instead of bliss, you're chasing outcomes, not congruence. Listen, 2026 rewards those who live in rhythm with themselves. And the pattern across all 5 episodes is, when you zoom out, every reinvention story shared one thing. The shift happened internally first. Before the travel, before the love, before the success, before the platform. Identity always moved before reality. And isn't that a given, right? In many ways, it's kind of this fake it before you make it, or fake it till you make it. And I know some people don't really resonate with that. However, if you are starting to reinvent yourself, you will have to do different things. And this is rooted in neuroscience. Neuroscience says when you are shifting your patterns, your habits, your behaviors, when you're starting to do something completely brand new, it opens up more of your dopamine pathways, and you are building new neural pathways that will allow you to get closer and closer to those goals. Again, baby steps, but closer and closer every single day. This shift is the shift that no one prepares you for, because it doesn't look like progress. Sometimes it looks like you're failing. Sometimes it looks like you're going up, you're going down, you're stagnant, you're not moving, you're not making progress. Sometimes it actually looks like nothing is happening. And if you are in that right now, that you're like, I really want something to change. I know I'm meant for more this year. I'm manifesting my dream life. These are the 5 things that you are setting yourself up to today. This is one of these episodes where you can listen to it again, share this with a friend. Because most people, they panic here as they're listening to this part. They think they're failing. They think that it's not going well for them. They think they're stuck. But what if the phase that you're in right now, the beginning of the year, what if it's a threshold? And here's the truth. You don't feel stuck because you're lazy. No. You feel stuck because the old version of you can no longer carry the next life. And that's why there is an incongruence. That's why there's a disconnect. That's why there is this perhaps feeling. It's the void. And every single person I've interviewed who reinvented their life, from Nabila to Caroline to Christine Hassler to Nina Davuluri, passed through this exact moment. Now, why does the voids feel so uncomfortable? And the thing is the old identity no longer fits. The new identity isn't fully formed. So you want to cling on to that old identity. I remember for years when, I had sold my dental practice and I was kind of in the void of being an author. I was still writing my book. I had no idea, but I had built this big career and I didn't even know how to introduce myself. I wasn't really coaching. I was just mentoring other early stage new dentists, doctors who also had their practices because I had sold my practice. It was a very weird spot because I really didn't know who I was. I was doing a lot of things. I was dabbling in a lot of things. I had started what we would call a present day female mastermind and really brought together a lot of women weekly. I just didn't know what that identity was. And your nervous system wants to rush the process because your nervous system wants an end goal. It wants clarity right away. And it doesn't want to feel discomfort, which is why you have issues. You have gut issues. You have stomach issues. We get the runs because our gut is our second brain. And the most dangerous phase is this phase, this void, because nothing is happening. And because your brain wants certainty more than the truth. We are wired for certainty. It's one of the reasons why we have so many issues with change and transition and the messy void in the middle of, that breakup or that next new identity that's forming. So what is it? It tempts you back to go to what's familiar. It tempts you back to over-explain yourself or justify why you're feeling this way instead of actually feeling the feels. Or maybe even prematurely committing to the next wrong thing just to feel relief, just to feel like logically you've got this, logically you've handled it. But in actuality, you're just trying to get control of sometimes the things that we have to just allow and we have to just be. And here's the tension, because most people self-sabotage here. And this is what I see over and over again in the people that I've coached, in the students that I've taught. People don't abandon their dreams because they're scared of failure. They abandon them because they're terrified of not knowing who they are for a while. And we're addicted to having some sort of certainty in identity. So let me ask you this. The void asks you to sit without labels. Are you willing to be in the void of no labels, without applause, without answers, and really loving yourself through that time? Because most people would rather be unhappy and certain than quiet and becoming. So how are we actually moving through this phase? Don't rush clarity. Clarity is a byproduct of alignment, not a prerequisite. Rule number 2, decide what you are no longer available for. Before you know where you're going, you must know what you're done tolerating. And rule number 3, let your nervous system catch up to your courage. Growth without regulation is burnout. Regulation without growth creates stagnation. This phase is where the integration happens. And so when you honor the void, when you stop performing certainty, when you let go of being unidentifiable for a moment, something profound happens. Beautiful magic happens. You don't just choose a new life. You become the kind of person who can actually sustain it. And so if you're watching this and thinking, why do I feel like everything is falling away at once? This is great. It's good. It's juicy. This is the signal. Because collapse is often just the clarity rearranging itself. When something combusts, when something dies out, when something shuts down, it is the perfect timing for you to reinvent, to find out what is that next waiting for you. I am so excited for you in 2026. I cannot wait to see what you are going to brave. And if you are watching this on YouTube, go ahead and write down in the comments, what is your word? What's your phrase for 2026? What exactly are you manifesting in 2026? Drop it down. If you are watching this, if you are listening to this on iTunes and Spotify, can you do 2 seconds? If you can like this episode and share this with a friend, a family member who needs to be more brave, who needs to have the courage to be okay in the void, to be okay in honoring this kind of wobbly sense of ourselves, because this is the year of the horse. We don't need to jump right into it because the momentum is building and the momentum is going to carry you through if you just take these next few weeks to just really sit with what is it and who is it? that I'm becoming. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you love this episode, please always share this with a friend. We are growing massively in 2026. We are so committed to bringing you amazing guests, and let me know what you want me to cover next. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time. Don't forget to be just a little bit more brave. You know I've got so much more in store for you, so if you are really ready to dive in and keep owning your emotions like the boss that you are, click right here. Go ahead, don't be shy. I'll see you in the next one. Keep shining.